Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Nerd Herders. I'm Rich.
I'm Nick.
And this is episode 10. We don't have a Star Wars. We're
fresh out.
Nerd Herders X. Going to space.
Oh yes.
Freeze us and send us to space. Maybe we kill some people and along the way.
Yeah.
But if you didn't know, we're from the Over Beer channel. So every show we are drinking something. Today we are drinking Five Lizard. It's a Latin-style wheat beer brewed with Cornadier. Is that what it? It's blurring into the label. I can't tell what this is, but it's also got a lime peel and passion fruit. It's passionate.
It's a Latin-inspired beer
Yeah.
from Bedford Park, Illinois. Because nothing screams Latin lifestyle like Illinois. We got snow this past weekend.
Cheers.
Definitely limey.
Yep. Not a big fan of that one.
It doesn't really taste like beer.
No.
On first taste. I don't know if I'm not a fan, but it doesn't taste like beer. I wouldn't call it a wheat beer.
Nope. Nope.
Yes, another great week.
Nope.
You picked that one.
I did pick this one, and I'm regretting it.
A few weeks ago, there was the one that you hated, the pumpkin cider.
Yeah, I know.
That was me.
That was
Sorry.
you. And I hate this one too. I screwed up. I don't know what it is. I'm picking beers I've never tried.
I don't mind it. It's interesting.
Oh, that's awful.
I guess I like everything. I don't think I've not liked one of them.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, so what's in store for this week?
We got news.
We got news.
We got news this
week.
week.
We got news.
If you didn't know, every week we switch back and forth of who's presenting the news. We pick the top 5 stories, and this week it is Nick's turn to pick the news. So, Nick.
So you don't know the 5
I have no idea what he's going to pick.
All right. So, first story of the week. You a fan of Nicktoons?
I am.
Classic Nicktoons?
I am. I'm a big fan of classic Nicktoons.
Me too. Grew up with them. Kind of definitely contributed to why I'm sitting here today.
Mm-hmm.
I would say definitely that.
Absolutely.
So some of the classics. You had Rugrats. Was obviously a favorite of mine.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I mean we could go on and on.
Yeah. You named one. We could go on and on. Rugrats.
There's Rugrats.
And there's Rugrats.
All grown up
And
Doug, of course. Cat Dog.
Mm-hmm.
All those shows. I mean, the line is kind of like where was it classic? Where was it the next wave?
Yeah.
And then SpongeBob kind of was started at the tail end of that and still going strong today.
Mm-hmm.
But my favorite Nicktoon of all time was Hey Arnold.
Okay.
And we got some Hey Arnold news.
We did get some Hey Arnold news this past.
So Nickelodeon announced that they are going to make a Hey Arnold TV movie.
Okay.
That would pick up right where the series ended and answer some of the burning questions fans have had for the past 20 years. Now I have to say nothing about Hey Arnold that they left on the table has kept me up at night.
Mm-hmm.
But there was always the question about what happened to Arnold's parents.
Sure.
And they specifically said that that's something that would be addressed. So Hey Arnold, if you weren't aware, if you're not aware, was a great Nick. Did you like that show?
Yeah, I liked the show a lot.
It was a great Nicktoon. It aired for I don't know how many episodes, a lot.
Yeah, it
seems like at
was
least
pretty
3 or 4
well run,
years. And it also had a movie
Mm-hmm.
that was released in theaters that I recall seeing, and I don't remember anything. I remember them sneaking into a building at one point. But Arnold did have this whole backstory about what happened to his parents. Why did he live with his grandparents? Something I remember an episode. It's funny when I watched The Amazing Spider-Man and The Amazing Spider-Man 2, the backstory that they gave about his parents disappearing in a plane crash or something. I seem to remember that's exactly what happened to Arnold's parents.
I don't remember a whole lot about the details of the series like that. But I remember there's a photo that he has.
He has a photo, and every once in a while he'd remember things back, and it'd be black and white. It wasn't the crutch of the show.
No.
They would just focus on it every once in a while. But anyway, Hey Arnold, they're going to continue it. Nickelodeon did make a statement, the president of Nickelodeon, saying something along the lines of they want to make sure that it pleases all of the old fans who will definitely be tuning in, but that it will also be accessible to the kids who watch Nickelodeon now who have never even heard of the show.
Yeah.
He also said, don't expect this to be the last Nicktoon that gets resurrected in this way.
Mm-hmm.
So, thoughts on that?
It's interesting. I asked you this before. I don't know if you saw, if there's anything else on this. If the creator is coming back, if that was the thing, I'm definitely very interested in this. I'm excited for it. I hope that they lean more towards for the older fans and don't try to, I haven't watched too much Nickelodeon anymore. Ninja Turtles I'm a big fan of, and SpongeBob I still catch occasionally. Other than that, I really don't, I don't know what the quality of their programming is at the moment. So I hope it doesn't go too, I don't know,
I think that they're going to try.
I hope it really respects
I think that they're obviously making a calculated effort to do that right now, right? Like,
well, they just did the Splat,
on their Teen Nick separate channel, they're doing like a couple hours a night dedicated to like the shows that we used to watch, and I think that they're going to be respectful to us, especially if this is not like secretly some backdoor way of trying to get the show back on TV. Because if it really is just like a one-off, then they really are just banking. They don't probably really care what the new kids think.
Yeah.
They really want it to just be for us.
Well, I'm curious if they'll see this and they'll go, wow, a lot of new viewers actually really like this, and then they could bring back something.
It's certainly possible. What other shows? So one of the key things of the article of the announcement was that other Nicktoons might get this treatment. So what's like the number one other show you'd like to see come back in this way?
Maybe Rocco.
Rocco's.
I'd like to see some more. I as much as I loved Rugrats growing up, I don't need any more Rugrats.
It's already had 3 movies.
They took it and then they
4 movies.
I don't know, and then they kind of drove it in the ground and grew them up and did all this. I don't need any more. That's been said and done. Rocco is definitely one that I've always been a big fan of, that I would definitely just see come back. If it hadn't gotten a reboot on, I think, Spike, I would bring Ren and Stimpy back.
I was not a fan of the remake or the reboot. I
don't think I watched much of it.
It was, I just remember it was on Spike right when Spike rebranded as like this channel for men.
Yeah.
And it was too much. It drew the line of where it was probably still unacceptable for us as kids to watch it to just being kind of like, I don't want to watch that.
I would like to see Zim come back. If they could strike a deal with Yonan Vasquez.
See, I never really watched that show.
I loved that show. I was so into that growing up, and even now, like, I still go back and rewatch it. It's one of the few kind of like classic like Nicktoons stuff that I will go back and watch now. I know we just got, he's making comics for it now, which I haven't picked up, but if they could somehow do something to bring that back, because there's a very big audience.
It seems like anything's possible.
Yeah.
What
about you?
For me, there's obviously, like you said, Rocco. I did like Cat Dog quite a bit. Doug would be great, but Doug
they did a Doug movie, didn't they?
Yeah, Doug. The whole thing happened with Doug when the rights got bought out by Disney.
Yeah,
and they moved to ABC's One Saturday Morning
and then
with like Recess, and then they made Disney made a Doug movie.
That's right. Okay.
So like that's all gotten weird. I don't think Nickelodeon could really do that. Another show that I liked a lot, and it was sort of near the tail end of where I would consider that like classic line to be. But I really liked all the characters and stuff. Same people who did Rugrats did it. Rocket Power. I like that show a lot.
Yeah. That'd be interesting.
That would be good. I know a lot of people really like Wild Thornberrys, but same thing. They had a movie. They had the Rugrats crossover movie too.
Oh, that's right. I forgot what they did.
Yeah, that's a weird. Like Bruce Willis was the voice of Spike the dog. And
yeah,
stuff,
that's
she
right.
talks to animals. Eliza Thornberry. Anyway, pretty cool news, I think. We might be getting more Nicktoons in a real way. You hate this beer
I
so
hate
much.
that beer so much.
Alright, so that's our first news story of the week. Second news story of the week. X-Men movies.
Okay.
You know about them?
I know of them. I've seen a few of them. I haven't seen all of them.
That's right, you have not seen them all. So we got word this past week that in all likelihood, Bryan Singer, director of X-Men 1, X-Men 2, X-Men, the last one, Days of Future Past, and now the upcoming movie, X-Men Apocalypse, is going to transition straight into his fifth go-around with directing X-Men movies after X-Men Apocalypse, set to shoot like later next year for, I think it said a 2017, 2018 release. So Singer back in the X-Men chair for a fifth time. Any thoughts?
I don't really have a problem with it. I like the first two films. Don't care for the third film. What was his First Class after that?
Yeah,
I liked First Class. I haven't seen Days of Future Past, but I know a lot of people said it was.
I liked it.
Said it was really good. There's definitely some hype for Apocalypse.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have no problem with it. I'm curious if he'll go and do something not X-Men.
Well,
anytime soon,
it's interesting.
but-
He's had a really interesting career, Bryan Singer. He launched onto the scene in 1995 with The Usual Suspects.
Mm-hmm.
And then he made Apt Pupil, and then he did X-Men. And ever since doing X-Men and X-Men 2, he went off and did Superman Returns instead of doing X-Men 3. That obviously wasn't the hit that Warner Bros. Was looking for, even though I respect a lot of that movie.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, he did Valkyrie and Jack the Giant Slayer. He's never really hit. It's in the past 20 years now, unless it's an X-Men movie.
Yeah.
And this is a guy, when he made Usual Suspects, I'm sure a lot of people thought, like, this guy is the
guy's
next
gonna-
great American filmmaker.
Mm-hmm.
And now all he does is make X-Men movies for who knows how much longer, you know? He's still a pretty young guy. Like, is he just going to make X-Men movies forever? In that aspect, it is a little bit disappointing, because as good as he makes those films, we have seen at least Matthew Vaughn step into First Class and make a really good X-Men movie. In fact, that's probably still my favorite X-Men movie, period. And it wasn't even directed by Singer. So, like, you know, could we get more good people in it? I don't know. I mean, I don't know if he needs to be making these movies for the rest of his life.
That's fair.
But I guess it's a good sign in the fate of Apocalypse
Yeah.
that Fox would already want him back again.
I mean, I would like to see him have another hit outside of X-Men, but...
Yeah, absolutely. All right, anyway. That's the story there. We'll find out more. We're supposed to get that first X-Men Apocalypse trailer on Star Wars.
Okay.
So, I'm sure we'll talk about that when that happens. Alright, my next two stories kind of go hand in hand. And they are directors sort of admitting flaws with some of their past works.
Okay.
So it's basically considered as 3 and 4. This past week in an interview, Peter Jackson was talking about the experience of making the Hobbit films. And he basically admitted that in the process of making them, he was winging it, and that it was definitely rushed. So basically his statements were along the lines of, if you aren't familiar with the whole history of the Hobbit movies getting made, we won't go through the entire thing, but Guillermo del Toro was all set to make these, did a lot of pre-production on the movies, and then MGM went bankrupt, who was greenlighting the films and, you know, producing them. They went bankrupt, they got bought out, and then the rights went to Warner Brothers. Guillermo del Toro left because he got Pacific Rim, or in that process of waiting, and Warner Brothers said, we'll make these movies with you, Peter Jackson, but they need to happen now.
Yeah.
So he didn't have...
And he didn't even really want to go back. If I recall,
He didn't even really... They weren't going to happen if he didn't make them. He wanted them to get made, even though he didn't want to direct them. And because of the ultimatum, like, they wouldn't even give him... He wanted a year and a half to do pre-production. They said, no, you kind of got to go now. And so he said that literally he was on set just making up set pieces that had never been pre-visualized or even storyboarded and stuff on. And that's as far as he went. He didn't go on to say, like, and that's why it's not as good as it could have been.
Yeah,
or
it was just
like
him
that.
kind of...
But him just saying, him talking about the experience about it, how he wasn't happy about the experience of how he had to do it, I think is as close as we'll get to him saying that maybe they weren't as good as they could have been. Now, you were a fan overall of those films.
Yeah, I like the Hobbit trilogy.
For the most part, not really a fan of them. I think that I love Lord of the Rings. Those movies I could care less to ever see again. So, what is your take on him making these admissions?
I mean, it's interesting, and I'm not... I don't know, I feel like now that we know that, it kind of... You can see it in the films. And again, I like the first one. I really like the second one, and I don't care much for the third one.
Okay.
But yeah, you kind of see it reminds me of the third Pirates movie. Don't they admit, like in the commentaries or something, that they were like making it up as they went along or something? And it reminds me kind of like that. And like once you hear that, you can kind of like, I kind of could see that. I could see them just kind of, as big budget of the Hobbit movies are, and like you'd think a lot of pre-production stuff would need to go into that. But you're like, okay,
I absolutely 100% can see it.
Mm-hmm.
I think where nearly every set piece in the original Lord of the Rings trilogy feels perfectly crafted, I didn't really feel that about any of the set pieces in these movies. There are some that you remember when even just thinking about them, like the barrel sequence does feel like it had a lot of heart behind it in Jackson's filmmaking. But for the most part, like, I believe this entirely, and I wonder what would have happened if he had gotten those year and a half to do his pre-production on them. Would they have been the classics that the originals are? Would they have realized this doesn't need to be 3 movies and like really convince them on that? It's a shame because we'll never really know. But the other director who talked about one of his past films that wasn't as well received as some of his others was J.J. Abrams. He's obviously really making the rounds now for Star Wars: Force Awakens, which he is the director of. But he also made another Star-based franchise. If you're unaware, he made Star Trek and Star Trek Into Darkness. And just recently he did a panel with Stephen Colbert that Colbert hosted, and one of the questions Colbert asked him was about the reception to Into Darkness and how a lot of people didn't like it, yourself included, right?
Yeah, I don't dislike it, but I don't care for it very much. It's not something, I've gone back and rewatched the first one. I have not gone back and rewatched the second.
Okay.
I have a lot of problems with it.
And in the past he's admitted things, like when he was brought on for Star Wars, he made some admissions about how he felt like he overused the lens flare as an example. That's definitely something he gets a lot of criticism about. It's not really something that bothers me, it just isn't. But he has said that in the past. But what he said recently was, he admitted that he said that we made too many nods to Wrath of Khan. I'll cop to that. So again, I feel like this is like as close as we'll get for a long time to him kind of admitting the movie has flaws. And directors are usually pretty hesitant about this, right?
Sure.
There's very few. I remember being at Comic-Con in, I believe, 2009 in San Diego, and there was a big panel with Steven Spielberg. And basically, he was very open about Indiana Jones' Crystal Skull sucking. Like, he basically straight up says he knows that that's not what we wanted. And he even, like, kind of almost jokingly said, like, blame George for it, which was great. But a lot of filmmakers don't do that. So
yeah, well, the difference is, it's Steven Spielberg. He can come out and
of course
years later say what he wants. Someone like J.J. Abrams, who's on the hook for Star Wars and Disney, it's like you still gotta. They don't want to be well. If he says that about this film, what's he gonna say?
But at the same time, I think that it also, I think his initial comments about using the lens flare too much and all of that. Was to kind of calm fans who were worried that he was going to make Star Wars Star Trek.
Yeah.
And I think even now it's understood whether or not he agrees with it that people didn't receive his last movie as well as they might have, and he has to kind of calm those fans. And so he starts saying things like, we understand that we went overboard with the allusions to Wrath of Khan, and that's almost like saying, don't worry, we're not going to do that. I learned my lesson with Star Wars. So, I mean, do you view it any other way?
No, I mean, I think that's a fair assessment of what he's saying for it.
But, Into Darkness is a movie we could argue about. I still have a lot of love for that movie. I just wish that the whole Khan thing had been handled differently.
Yeah.
I really do. I wish they had just been open about it in the first place. But, all right, final story of the week.
Okay.
Another franchise that we have talked about weeks in a row here on the show. The Alien franchise. But this week it is not about Alien Covenant.
Oh no. Is it about Alien Found Paradise or Alien
Paradise Lost? No. It is about the now aborted, seemingly, Neil Blomkamp Alien 5.
Okay.
Or whatever it would have been called.
Still not officially.
No, but Blomkamp has moved on
to
other things, and if this movie ever happens, it'll be further down the line. And I think if Alien Covenant is a bomb, this won't happen, and I think if Alien Covenant is a success, that'll just get a sequel.
Yeah.
I think the odds of this happening anytime soon now are very, very minimal. But if you were unaware, Neil Blomkamp, director of District 9, Chappie, some other things, Elysium, I think we've talked about this actually in the show when it was kind of canceled, was going to make a basic official sequel to Aliens. He was going to be
totally ignore 3 and 4.
And his recent description of what the plot would have been about kind of confirms that it would have ignored 3
Mhm.
and 4, because he said the main focus of the film, while it would have had Sigourney Weaver's Ellen Ripley, as well as the Michael Biehn character, it would have focused on Newt,
Yeah.
the grown-up Newt.
It would have been a passing of the torch from Sigourney Weaver to, I think they said 27 or something year old Newt.
Even though you are excited about Prometheus 2
Mhm.
more than I, would you have been more excited for this now that we're even learning more about what it would have been?
I think the idea is interesting, but and I might have said it might have just been us talking off camera, it might have been actually in the show. You know, I still feel that ignoring 3 and 4 is still kind of disrespectful to the franchise. However you feel about those movies, I think the 3 is great, at least the producer's cut of it. And I mean, it's an interesting concept of it, but I mean,
I agree, and we are in agreement on this. I think that ignoring 3, and again, what happened in 4, is disrespectful, but I also think, in a way, even though I like Alien 3, 3 basically kind of just ignores the continuation of Aliens
yeah, and
to
that's
do its own thing. So, in a way, maybe that was kind of disrespectful.
that's a fair assessment.
So, I don't know. It would have been interesting to have seen this story, to have seen actually be able to watch Aliens and have it lead into this, or have that parallel.
Yeah, have you get two things going on.
Have this parallel timeline.
But I don't know. The idea of the story is interesting. I like that, but the fact of Blomkamp directing it isn't the most appealing thing.
No.
Like if he's like, here's my concept, here's my ideas, and then they bring somebody else in to do it.
Anyone else
in to do it, that, okay, I'd be a little bit more on board. But the fact that would be behind it is very hesitant. And the fact that now that Prometheus 2 is now Alien Covenant, I don't think we're ever going to see this movie. They might, maybe they'll, since Ridley Scott was a producer, or is technically still a producer on this film, maybe they'll take some of the ideas to bring them in, some of the Alien ideas and stuff, and bring those over to the second, the last part of the trilogy or whatever. But now that they're actually calling Prometheus 2 Alien Covenant, having an Alien 5 out there, or whatever they end up calling it, will be too confusing for a mass audience. Because they'll see Alien Covenant, and then Alien 5, and they'll be like, wait a second, I just saw, people who don't necessarily know all of the history of the franchise, I think they're still going to have a little bit of problem, this is a second Prometheus, unless they totally basically ignore the events of Prometheus, or maybe...
Which it sounds like basically they're going to.
Yeah.
Which we talked about last week with only having Fassbender return. I don't know. I feel like this is going to be, through the history of the last 30 years of geeky movies being made, there are some famous what-ifs. Tim Burton's Superman being an example. And I think this will always just be, what if that Alien sequel had gotten made?
And that might almost be better for it.
Yeah. Because then we can't be disappointed.
Exactly.
Because we probably would have been disappointed because he hasn't made a good movie since his first movie.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's just this week's news. That was kind of the big ones that I found. So what did I miss? What are you excited about? What Nicktoons do you want to see come back? Let us know about that. What other directors do you wish would admit some of their movies aren't what they should have been? I could think of some. And are you excited for Bryan Singer making X-Men movies for the rest of our lives?
Yeah.
Cameron's in the Avatar business. He's in the X-Men business.
They're profitable businesses.
It certainly is. I mean, but you can do other things.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's just this week's news. So
Great.
Where can they find us on the internet?
They can find us both on Twitter. I'm at Rich Belson.
I'm at Stonks.
The channel is on Twitter at oabeer_official. You can also email us at overabeerofficial@gmail.com and find us on Facebook at facebook.com/overabeer. If you like this video, you can like it, share it, subscribe. We do not have a YouTube URL to give you guys yet. That is because we don't have 100 subscribers yet, and we need that for a YouTube URL. So like I said, if you do like these videos, please subscribe to them. Subscribe to our channel. And any comments that you have are greatly appreciated. Also, for this entire month, we're gonna have a hidden Santa.
That's right.
We have a hidden moving Santa every single week. Maybe every day, maybe every week. Who knows? We'll find out. So if you spot the Santa, let us know. Let us know where he is.
And that little guy.
And maybe we'll give you a congrats.
Yeah.
We'll say congrats, and then
if you like comment on the video on Facebook where it is, maybe we'll hit like.
Yeah, we'll like it.
Can you imagine that?
We might reply. We might say congrats. We won't send you anything. We don't have anything to send. I can send you, the bottle of this shitty beer, but I probably won't because this is going in the garbage as soon as I'm done because it's terrible. But yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching.